Hello everybody, welcome to the workshop for our beautiful new collection that's just been released for Tattered Lace, and this is Chantilly and Twine, which is just glorious. Now, fair warning, as you will have seen, there are a lot of boards just because of how many things and how many ways we're going to be able to use this. Now look at these samples. I just want to bring these in first to show you the inspiration that we've got here for you. So we've got an acetate background, but doesn't that just look incredible? So you could use the acetate for this. That is there to stabilise the actual frame, but also just cutting 2 or 3 of these out and making it more like a chipboard piece element to actually pop on here. But if I just want to tip that forward, look at the foliage on here, aren't they just exquisite? Butterfly. So I think this, as you can see in this sample, we have got glitter on here, and I think it's a must-have with something like this. Adding in those touches of sparkle really will bring your projects to life. So that's our first sample. We have got some beautiful ones with this one as well. Our design team have done a cracking job. Look at this. So something just a little bit different. So this is our Louise that's done this one for us. More of a DL, but it's packed full. So in the background there, you can see that we have got our lovely Louise has cut into some of our actual doily pieces. So we've got one piece of doily cut in half, and it's made these beautiful corners that then has allowed all that decoupage elements on there as well. It is stunning, absolutely gorgeous, and that little hint of mirror card is really brought it to life. Just beautiful. So that is our second one. Then I'm going to bring in again. Look at this. So again, this is another die in that collection. We've got that arch. Now, when you've got an arch like this, so this is like one of your foundations, it is stunning, super simple. All of the mats and layers, very, very, kept very simple with this one. No inking on any of this. It's clean and crisp. And we've got those beautiful flowers. So we've got the daisies, but again, we've got the glitter with that beautiful butterfly. Isn't that fabulous? So this is really going to lift all of your projects. But when you've got an arch like this, you've also got doors and you've got windows. So just bear that in mind when you're making projects. So you could put a rectangle die across the bottom and make it into a window box. So there's lots of different ways. When you've got a shape like that, it is fabulous, and especially when they're nested. Then we've got this again, same thing with that arch, using it in both 2 different ways. Okay, so we've got it going away from us, so we've got the curve to the bottom and then to the top. I'm really going to town with that glitter. It's not inked. These are actual reflections that you've already downloaded. So that colourway, we've done all that lovely faux inking for you. And again, doesn't it just look beautiful with that glitter? So that is another one. Then we really have had some beautiful samples for this. This is glorious. Look at the doily. Isn't that absolutely phenomenal? And again, that is with the butterfly, but look at the flowers, the foliage, just those little wisps. And these are, if you're seeing, they're all different colourways. We've got a little bit of a colourway going on. A little bit of silver mirror card again, bit of glitter, and isn't that beautiful? And then in the centre, we've got that die that has all been layered up to add that texture. It's almost as if that is embossed. Just by laying it flat and gluing it flat, you've got almost this faux embossed in the background, but that is actually one of the dies. Beautiful. And we've got the twine. If you can see, we've got little ribbon bows. So here and here, so we've got a little bit of twine in there as well. Just, it's like that finishing finesse, isn't it? When you're looking for that one thing, just beautiful. Super elegant when it's so fine. And then, again, look at this. This is just fabulous. And this is because of the design of those dies. So we've got all of this on the outside edge. So it is over the edge card, but just changing the orientation. So If you just bear with me a minute, Andrew, I'm going to turn that over. If the back piece you just snipped off flat, we could have it this way, okay? Or put it back this way, cut two and layer them together, and you've got a hinged card as well. So it's just fabulous, okay? So there are samples, aren't they beautiful? So now bringing in the dies. I want to quickly show you the dies because these are incredible. So there's the circle that was in the background of the first one that creates fabulous faux embossed detail. So think about that when you're using some of your dies. Maybe you can just stick them flat and you make that embossed. And once you've done it and stuck them flat, just run some ink over the top to just lift so you can see where the die is. Look at all of these. Now this is where this collection really does make an impact. We've got all of these, fabulous that they're swift. We're not going to lose anything because we have got some super fine little intricate details in here. There's the little twine. These are our arches, fabulous butterflies, and the fact that we've got 4 and all of the different permutations of using these. So these have actually got our half dies in here as well. Then again with these doilies, but look how big these doilies are. Super, super projects you're going to be able to make. So those are the dies and these are the boards. Now there are some substantial boards here. So going from the dies, all we've done is we've got one whole die here. So that's one. We've cut it out, turned the die around, matched it up again and put it through again. So we've got one whole doily. By doing this, we've given you all of the metal. We've used everything, every little piece that we can. Instead of giving you one great big one, we've given you them in halves. That way you're going to get more value for money as well. So if we gave you a die that was this big, obviously it's twice the price. But doing it this way, we've kept the value down and then giving you these other elements as well. So we have got the largest die on the outside edge. Then we've got 2 like so. And then we've got another half die. So these ones are quarters. So again, if you line them back up all together, you're either going to get a half or a whole. So that's where we're going with this one. So that's the largest. Then they're the quarters. And then that's the next what's a half. But look what we can do. Now we've got those 2 elements. We line up those 2 dies. So this isn't the right, I've got a different one, but we'll go with it. Let me just go, here we are, that's the right one. So, yes, you do, absolutely, put that there. There we go. So that sits there like that. It's just a matter of finding the right one. Because we're giving you so much, it gets a little bit confusing. Pop that back on there, like that. So these 2 are practically meeting. Tape that down, run that through your die cutting machine, and ta-da! We're left with something that looks like this. How incredible is that? So we are giving you so many different ways of using this particular collection. So we've got all of this here. So now this is decorating. We can decorate this piece. This is an over the edge card, which are some of the demos that I'm going to show you. A smaller one, so a different edge. This is with the bigger one, and here you can see we've got that deeper edge. So this would be fabulous as an over the edge card. Then we've got the whole. Isn't that incredible? Now straight away I am seeing a doily, which is just beautiful, but I'm also seeing snowflakes. The snippability of these are phenomenal. And also snip that out in the middle and we've got a whole circle. I can see a flower in here as well. We've got all these little pieces where we can have gems, etc. So to decorate these are going to be amazing. Then we've got the over the edge element, okay, which again is just fabulous. So that could be that way up. Or we can do it with this one instead. But when we've done it like this, let me bring in some of my pieces. And then we can decorate by adding our doily on top. Aren't they just stunning? Now, you add glitter to this doily, all of it, and then place that on there, and it's going to look phenomenal. So then we can have it where it's stood up on its side as well. More ways of using it. So these are all the different edges. So can you see where we're going with this? Look at that. Totally different altogether. Fabulous. So you then do the same again. Score it across the back. That will stand up and it will make you a beautiful shaped card. Again, look at all the permutations. So we just keep going. Look at how many boards we've got. And we're still going. Now we're on to the other doily. Again, just keep going with all these boards. So you can see how many, and then we've got that beautiful next doily, which again is phenomenal. I'm seeing chess pieces in here. What else can we see? Again, there are snowflakes, little crowns. I've got little faces here. In fact, I turn that round. I've got 2 eyes, a nose and a mouth, and a little, that's a ghost. I've got a big smiley face. So the nose is here, moustache. So there's so many things that you can see in this. Then we're going to go on again. Look at all these. And that is because all this is because we've given you that lovely big outside die, the split unity quarters, which is the next. Then we've given you another full outside die, and then also the lace. And we've done that in 2 different lace panels. So there, that's when you're going to get all of those. So that is just using those 2 lace dies. So there's a lot there, isn't there? Now we get onto the pretty stuff. This is like the decoraty stuff, isn't it? Aren't these just beautiful? I think these are gorgeous. And again, so remember, these are swifted. So we've got the 2 different colourways. Again, fabulous. So think about now building these and using these 2 colourways together because they work beautifully together. So that's the first one. Then we've got the actual foliage. Now, I love it when we've got so much versatility. We've got the different colourways. They look very realistic. They've got this brown edge on here as well. Just in white, just think about doing white on white and glitter these. Make them a little bit different. So these could actually be for your Christmas ones as well. So add your glitter to these and tuck them in. And there's nothing stopping you from using these for Christmas elements. Those decorations, even on the tops of your baubles, would look fabulous. We've got all these lovely little twigs. These are just incredible to have as fillers. And they really do create a focal point of your flowers when you've got good foliage. Ah, look at that. Isn't that just, that's summer, isn't it? Straight away. Absolutely beautiful. So, fabulous daisies. And look at all the other elements that we've got in here that we've already taken away. Now you just mat and layer that onto an oval in the middle of a card, put a little bow on it, a little sentiment, and that's all you need. Everything is already done for you. They're beautiful. Now, these are very special. So we've got our butterflies. Obviously, we've got in the white cuts. Now, the white cuts, you're probably going to be able to see this better. So we have all these different permutations, and I am going to bring the butterflies in so it will help you see. We've got the big one, which is the outside line. So we've done the same thing again as we've done with the doilies. We have our split unity, and we have our actual butterfly. So this is the big outside line. This is the split unity cut twice. So you cut it, turn it over, match it up and cut it again. And then this one is lovely because you could cut it out, put the split unity in and actually have that you've got this beautiful tiny frame. Can you see how narrow that frame is? But also you can do this and lift this up out of the middle. So you could have the frame and then lifted wings. And then, of course, you've got the beautiful butterflies. And that is the same for all of them. Okay, so you've got that edge in there as well. So we've got that dimension by lifting those wings. We've got all of these. Aren't they beautiful? This is inked, almost as if we've done it's faux inking. We've done it all for you. Stunning. Add your glitters on these as well. Probably put your little flat back pearls. And then we've got the smaller one. But you don't have to use these as they are. You can mix and match them up. Here we have our twine. Isn't it fine? It's super, super fine. So, so delicate. Just fabulous. Now again, doing those bouquets, wrap that round. or over the edge of your card on the bottom. Your bouquet is sat behind that. It's done. Super simple card, but looks really effective. Now we've got those frames. So these are the squares. So cutting all of these out, then lay them all inside one another and glue them flat. That's when you get that faux embossed look. A little bit of wax on there or some ink on there just to highlight it. It would look phenomenal. So don't think of them as just frames. Keep all the pieces in the middle that drop out, because that then cuts that one, that then cuts that one. So there's always waste that you can use again. But these are all sentiments, aren't they? So keep all these blanks because we can use them. Same again for the circles. Each one sits inside the next one. Again, giving you that beautiful faux embossed if you wanted it, but in their own right, they're fabulous frames. And again, keep those dropouts. But they're also going to make fabulous aperture cards as well. On to the arches. I think there's something that reminds me of something. TV show or radio show. So here we have the arches, and again, these are nested. But look how many we're giving you. You're not just getting one or two, you're getting all the different sizes right down to this little one. Now, when you get down to the smaller ones, you're going to think, yeah, but they're little windows. Use these inside here, cut two, and that's your window. Cut this in brown, cut these in maybe a scene. So if you fussy cut the scene, then you've got brown background and two slots that look like it's an outside, so you're looking outside the window. Pop a window box on the front and fill it with flowers. Again, fabulous ways of using all of these, or they could just be for your sentiments. So that is all of the boards. Now, that is a huge collection, I know, and we've gone through a lot. But when we give you something that's been designed like this, we're giving you the ability to be able to create what you want to create. We're not actually saying, well, this is the shape and you can only use it this one way. Absolutely not with tattered lace. We try and think of all those different ways that we can break it down, giving you the design so you become your own designer. So on here, I've got lots of things cut out. Look at all this. Look at all this to play with. And this is a super way of working. Or in a big lid, if you've got a box, lay them all out so you can actually see where you're going with everything. And that way you can do a little bit of experimenting with your placement, and then, you know, just changing the orientation of something makes something very different. So I'm going to get all of this out. I want to see what we've got to work with. Okay. Aren't these just super? And you just have to be careful when you're putting them together that you don't get them caught. Just like that. Can you imagine that? Just as a doily on a plate would look incredible, wouldn't they? Wedding invitations, cutting them in half and using them half pieces, creating gatefold cards. Again, so many different ways of using it. I could just keep going on and on about it. Right, one of the ways you can actually use this is to find the centre point and score it, okay? And then that would give you a beautiful over the edge card. So I've just caught that on there. I'm just going to hold it there because I know where I want that to be. And I would take a little bit more time, but obviously I want to try and get as much in with this workshop as I can. Like so. That I would slice off the back. Isn't that beautiful to work from? Absolutely fabulous. So that is the first one that we're going to work with. We can also bring in our frame. So when you've got a circle, you can work with a square. If it was a rectangle, for me personally, rectangles and ovals work well together. Squares and circles work well together because of the perspective that you get. So we could add in our lovely square and build from that. So that's where we're going to go. Okay. So pop all of this to one side. So this is how I'm going to use these. Now, I know that these were on the show. If you were lucky enough to actually pick these up, fabulous, but you don't have to be using this particular one. Just use your foundation dies that you've got, all of your fundamentals. So if it's a square, you could have scallop squares or, you know, little ditzy or the faux stitched edge. All of that is going to work beautifully with this. But like I say, for me, circles and squares work really well together. Ovals and rectangles, that's how I separate them. And it just creates a good balance when you're working with the shapes. So I'm going to pop that on there because we've got them. I'm going to use them. And I'm going to go a little bit quirky and maybe overlap like so. So I'm going to bring that a little bit more in and overlap them like that, okay? So that's giving me a really nice balance, and it gives me somewhere to actually build off the edge of the card, so it creates stability. But if I add that there, can you see how that balances that up, and it gives me, so if I'm going to actually line it up properly for us like this. So I'm using the edge, I'm using the line. That is creating that lovely shape, and it balances it. So now we've got lots of places to do the tucking in, etc. So first of all, that's what I'm going to do. Let's glue these in place. Unblock my glue. I promise you it was unblocked. It happens to me every time. Bear with me. Should have got my tweezers out to start off with, because with this collection you definitely need some good tweezers because there's some smaller pieces. Have I done it? I was using it only moments ago. What has happened? There we go. Now, I would normally put this on a piece of card, or, you know, I know that I'm okay with popping it in on the back of my hand. Usually we'd advise you to actually use a piece of card if you're going to have an issue. Now I've lined those up and I'm looking at that square in the middle, okay, just here. So I've got a square like so. Pop them down. And then this, I need to, just a little bit of glue on this piece. And again, as we did before, I'm going to pop that up against that line. I'm using my mat. And then I'm going to make sure I've got on that point and that point, and I'm happy like so. I'm going to lift it up so I don't glue that to the background like that. And then this can go in place here. So again, I'll hold that in place. I know I want my glue on this bottom edge. A bit of glue like that. And build that on there like so. Again, open that up to make sure I've got all those pieces. But now look at that. Well, we've got, isn't that just adorable? Now we've got lots of areas to be able to build onto. A little bit of glue on here. Just want to make sure I've got that stuck where I need it. So I'm capturing it on those, on that fold. There we go. That's strengthened that. Okay. Now we can start playing with all the foliage. So I am going to go in with some of the blue. I love this colourway. My ever beloved little foam mat and my ball tools. And I'm going to shape from the back. Now, normally, if this was not as detailed and it didn't have all these cut marks in, what I would have just done is split and cracked the front. That's why we put all these little detail lines, so it enables us to make it easy for us to add shape. Okay, that is phenomenal. Love that. Okay. Again. That's the next one, and then I want some of these pieces. And they may not be the right, but I love that I can decoupage that up on there. So I'm going to go with that one. Let's bring in some of the little blue elements. Love these little daisies. They're almost like building a little posy. And as you can see, I'm not really looking at these. I am being very random. That way, I'm working with what I'm just picking up. Okay. I'm going to go, right, I like that one. So I'm going to work on here. In fact, I'm going to lift that up because that's white on white. If I pop that behind, you can see a little bit better what we're building onto, can't you? That's a bit easier. Now, we can pop all of these in place. Now, as always, there are landlocked pieces that have got the space on here for us to actually glue. And I'm going to go in with my tweezers because I want to keep my fingers out the way. That is beautiful. Just stunning. Now, because I've put that frame on there, if you've done it with these or your own dies at home where you've created this frame, because all you would do was use 2 of your nested dies that you've got, create a frame like this, and it's giving you this open in the middle, which is just lovely. Very similar to what we started out with where we've got that acetate on there as well. So again, a little bit of glue. It's a bit easier picking it up than there, it's a bit quicker. And now I can tuck all these pieces in. Yeah. One of the things that I tend to do when I'm doing this, I'll pop it on like I've just done. And I'm kind of auditioning them where I want them to be. And I'm also looking at the balance of the card, okay? So I want a little bit more down here. I'm going to cover that one up, but I don't mind because this is making the actual bouquet bigger. And it's creating that stability by gluing those 2 pieces together. And then we have, pull that forward. Oops, upside down. Like so. And I've just lifted all of that up as well. So I've got a little bit of decoupage going on. And these are fabulous. So white background with this colourway, it is adorable. So pop that on there. We've got these lovely little daisies again. Now this is a collection where you can go all out with your glitters maybe, which would be wonderful because that would give you a good excuse to get all those glitters out and use them, because I know what we like. We have all these things, we buy them all and they just sit in a drawer. Or your ribbons and your inks, because these would look fabulous, just inked, cut in white cardstock and inked. Now I'm building up the blue and I'm looking, I want something up here. So I'm adding that little bit of balance. Now for this one, I'm going to lift this up, pop that in there. I'm going to stick it to the top. And then I've put glue here and I'm sticking it to that piece in the middle. By doing that, I'm creating that structure. Okay, once it's dry and it holds like so, that has now stabilised that piece of my card, and I don't really necessarily, 1, have to cut lots of layers, or 2, use my acetate. I can actually have that free. And we've got all of this design going on in the middle. We've got a little bit going this side, but we do want to add a little bit of something down here. So this is when we go back to all these cuts, and maybe the snippability again of tattered lace is incredible. Always treat yourself and get yourself a really good pair of scissors that are sharp, right to the point, because that really does help when you're doing your decoupage. So we can snip out. I'm not getting rid of that though, because that is another, that's my little tuck in. I can use that somewhere else. Absolutely. So grab my ball tool, a little bit of shape on the daisy. Add a little bit of shape in with the blue. Now I'm going to go off the edge to this side, the daisy here, and then I do want this little bit of green the bit I snipped off, I've moved round, turn it upside down, and I've popped that back on. So that is really quite a simple card, but it's using that fabulous doily. Any frames that you want to use, but those flowers are just stunning. A little bit of decoupage. You don't have to use 30, 40, 50 cuts. It is so easy to create a real wow with these. So that's our first one. Pop that to one side. Right. Now we're going to do a little bit of snipping. Bring all of these in. And I just need to get these all the right way round because, bear with. Oops. If I do, right, okay, so what I'm doing is creating an easel card. So that is the piece that comes up. That piece is then going to stick on there, and that is my easel. Can you see where I'm going? I'm just going to glue the base here. A little bit here and here, and stick this one face to face. Whoops. Like so, and I'm just going to let that set a second, and then this is going to be the easel piece. So again, we're using this in a different way. So again, giving you all those different dies, putting them in the halves, so the split unity and everything really allows you to be very creative, making your own card blanks from scratch. They're wonderful. So on there, and then this one, I want more lace on here. So I just want to check. Fabulous. So that is going to sit on there. So you don't have to watch me putting loads of glue on. I'm just going to go in the main landlocked areas because we've got that beautiful lace panel at the top, but by adding in that lace at the base as well, we're adding in that extra texture. Put that on there. Line it up. Isn't it easy? When you've got super things to work with like this, it really does make crafting. So that goes on there, like so. And at this point, I would then probably get out all my glitters depending on a colourway of your cardstock that I'm using. But that is very Christmassy, isn't it? It really does remind me of snowflakes, which is just beautiful. Now, I'm going to think that this one, there and there, like so. So that's the back piece, and then my lace is going on here, and that is my easel. So for my next one, again, rather than loads of, and I'm actually going to glue this piece. Rather than gluing this, I'm gluing this one because I'm not particularly fighting with this one. Like so. And again, you take a lot more time over this. Or maybe even use a spray adhesive when you're using something that's so detailed would be really good. But the nib on this, the tip on the pin flare is just wonderful when you're doing something like this. So now I'm actually going to line the lace back up again. Like so. And press that down. And then when we bring this up, if I just turn that around, look at that. It's an easel card. Isn't that just stunning? So we've got lace at the bottom. We've got all this area to decorate, and we've got that lace. So we've really brought it all down as one panel. Look at that. Isn't that fabulous? So now to do the fun bit is the decorating. And then I've got a few left where I'm going to snip into them to show you the different ways we can actually break all of this down. So I want my trusty little amable tool. I have got here, again, I'm going to lift all of these out because they are delightful. Now, all of these, usually when I'm shaping on any of our die cuts, I like to shape from the back first. And I have a look at the orientation. So I move them around. I think, right, okay, do I want it that way? Does it look better this way? Am I going this way? Quite like it like that. So keep going. And I do quite a few. That way, I haven't got to keep stopping and thinking, right, okay, I need another one of those. I need another one of those, and doing all of this. I try and do quite a few of them. And I keep them that I know, right, that's that one, and I keep them in little piles. So I know I've got so many of those, and this is the other, look at this. They are beautiful. Okay, so another one, a bit more pink. And this is where, once you've done all of this, so this could be an evening, you've cut them all out, and then you do all of your shaping, and then you come back to actually building your cards when you've put all your shaping on. But there's nothing also stopping you cutting these out of white card, or even your favourite coloured card stock, and inking them as well. Adding glitter to the centres of all of these would look beautiful. And then I'm shaping from this side as well. But as you can see, all of this, I'm not breaking any of this, and that is the design. So that's down to all of that detail. Yeah, a couple more of the purple. Like so. Giving us plenty to actually work with. And then we can build like this. So I've got all of those to one side. I can still use all of that if I want to. Foliage. Okay, and with this one, when we've got foliage like this, I'm going to pinch this leaf like that. Put that little crease in the middle. So again, that's changing the shape of it. Bring a few of these out. Going from the outside. Push down in the middle. That's really brought that up and made that leaf really different. Can you see? And the artwork on these, oh, just brilliant. Okay, look at that. So I'm shaping from the back, turning it over, and where the stem would meet the centre of the leaf, I'm just pushing that down, and that has created all that shape. It's so easy to do. So this is like a 5-minute job. Like I say, you could have all these cut out and do all this shaping, and then the day after or the morning, whatever, you can then get ahead and just do all your building. So for batch making, having these little trays or having everything pre-cut is phenomenal. And I love all these little twigs. So let's start putting some pieces together. So I'm going to bring in the body of my card. Okay, and I'm going to think about where I want this to be. So we've got this lovely circle. Do I want to create a crescent? If I'm creating a crescent, I want to create balance. So now I'm thinking about where I'm going to put all this placement. Do I want to go from the top with a crescent and from this side? Again, think about when we lift it up, where's your stopper going to be? So I'm just going to place some on here to see what feel I get. And I do actually like it at the base here. So I'm going to go this side, and then my stopper's going to be down here. Got that balance going on. And again, when we've got these little snips, look at this. Can lift all of this up. Really put some shape into all of these. Now, I'm going to go in with my trusty 3D glue gel. I'm going to go a little bit up into that, like so. then build that on top. But before I go any further, I want to put some of my greenery in, because that is going to make it so much easier to see where we're going. A little bit of green there. A little bit of green in here. Can you see how quickly this is actually coming together now? And because of the texture and how the leaves are, we can do a lot of tucking in, out, adding in those little extra pieces. So this is where the smaller pieces really do, you need your tweezers. Now I'm even going on top of the flowers. So don't ever be thinking, oh, all the greenery's got to go behind. It absolutely hasn't, okay? To get perspective, if you were in your garden, your greenery isn't all behind at the back, is it? And all your flowers are at the front. It's all mixed in those different layers. So to get that realism when you're actually doing your florals, adding your foliage in between in different layers throughout your flowers brings in that realism and makes you, again, the foliage is there to set off the flowers. Because without the foliage, the animals really can't see the flowers because it's all just colour. It's like the foliage is there saying, look at me, come to me, I'm the best flower. So it's one of the really important things to get your foliage in there as well. So again, just let's keep building. So I'm thinking about how many different leaves I've got on here as well, because I want to get it measured. I don't want it to be too, that I've got one particular leaf, especially when I've got all these to actually play with. And look, again, with all these cuts and these, we can lift those flowers and separate those petals. So now I'm going to tuck in a little bit of the purple. We've got the leaves, we've got the stem. I can slide that stem in behind and have that over like so. Remember, we've got all these little tuck-ins as well. So if you think you're getting, oh, I've lost a little bit, doesn't matter if we are covering things up. Like I've just said, it would be covered up. Okay, pop that on there. And then we go back to these lovely little pieces of foliage. You will find that your foliage, the smaller pieces, are the ones that you keep going back to because they make such a difference. Okay, so go with the wet glue again. So these are the little, look how fine that is. That is super fine. But the difference of adding that on there, it's only the littlest, only the smallest. But if I put a few of these together, they are so fine, it creates elegance on your card. Look at that. Isn't that fabulous? The cuts on this collection, the dies, how tiny and fine we've got all of this detail is phenomenal. So now looking at the orientation of the flower, that is going to tuck in here. Okay, like so. But now I need more greenery. So now I'm thinking, I've got all that going on here, I need my stopper. So to give me, again, shaping from the back, and in that centre, pinch it in like so. Add in that shape. And because of all those cuts, can you see, none of this is cracking or splitting. I haven't got any damage to the front of my artwork at all. And I know there's probably some newcomers to tattered lace as well. And this is, you know, this is just very typical of tattered lace. The detail, how fine it is. Stephanie really likes to push the limits of the dyes. We want it thinner, we want it smaller, we want it finer. Again, giving you all of that creativity to work with. So, I'm now building on here, okay? So if I lift up, I always do a little test. I'm going to lift that up and have a look. So this is eventually going to be my stopper. And I know I want that balance. So it's flowing from this side. It'll come down and come back down to this side. So I've got that beautiful curve following it down. So I'm going with the shape of the card that I've made, again, from all that lovely lace and the doilies. And I'm letting it come round and flow round to the base. So I know some of this is going to be stuck to the base here, but I'm not too worried about that for the minute, because it will all, like I say, it'll all come together. Now, I've got these ones. I want these in the background. And don't ever be afraid when you're doing something like this of going off the edge. So I'll stick that one in there, overlap that, but this one has gone way off the edge of the card. That's fine. Now, looking at it again, that is wants it to be to matching up and be the stopper. Now, what I'm going to do with this, we've got this stem here and here. I'm going to lock these together. Tuck one in front of the other. That creates a different leaf altogether, doesn't it? Now I want some more greenery. Again, thinking about that balance, where we're placing everything to make sure it flows. Go again. And I'm using the same leaves from the top as I am on here. So again, it creates that symmetry. And then bring in some of these smaller elements, because it's not going to be as big a bouquet down here as it is on the top. And look how wonderful these sit against that, with the fineness of the lace and the fine detail that we've got of the foliage is just beautiful. And when you've got something, isn't it a pleasure to work with? When you've got something that actually comes together so lovely, builds beautifully, and it actually feeds your creativity when you've got something like this. When it works and you've got a collection that is just so beautiful, you think, oh yeah, and it's like, then you want to do another one, because it's, you think, okay, next time I'm going to place it here, next time I'm going to use a different colourway, I'm going to treat, I'm going to use, create an easel card. Next one is going to be a gatefold, because it's so easy to do. We're giving you all the tools to be able to do it. Now I'm looking at all of these now. Okay, now you're going to think this is probably, what are you doing? I love that. I'm going to put my flowers in. There's more to go on here yet, but I'm going to turn it round and have a look at it from a different perspective, because sometimes when you do this, just by changing the orientation, you'll see a gap. Not that you probably would have noticed it before, but you go, hang on a minute, there's a bit of green missing there. And I do this a lot with all of my projects. I lift it up and have a go and say, right, okay, let's look at it from a different angle. And by turning that round, I could see that I've got green missing there. So tuck that in like so. Now we can carry on building. But just turning it round really does make a difference. Believe me, stick with me, try it yourself. It does work. Now, I don't want the bigger ones. So, okay, I'm going to split this. So again, scissors, treat yourself to some super, super sharp scissors right to the tip. And that will make your decoupage a dream to do. You then don't have to really think about it. So I've snipped into that. I am just going to go and neaten that off. And you wouldn't have even known that that was attached to something else. Now these are my decoupage. So you just create your own if you haven't got it. And this is going to sit underneath, absolutely. So I don't want to lose the colourway that we've got going on here, but I do want to tuck it in and over. Now, my glue gel. Have I got that the right way around? I have I? Lift that up, tuck that in, and lift that one forward. So I'm doing this because this is our stopper, remember? So I need something for this to actually come up against. Now I'm going to go in with these lovely pink ones. Shape them the opposite way. And tuck these in. So we've got that little splash of pink coming in just from behind. Same again with this one. Adding it in. Bringing the balance, because we've got the pink at the top with the purple. Adding in these lovely little buds. And I've got a little bit of green here. So I'm going to elongate the greenery this way. And I've got a lovely colourway there. That is beautiful, but that is going at the top. Now you know the piece that we cut off to make our own decoupage. Lift all of that and slide that back in there. Okay, so that is now my stopper. So if I bring that up, that is going to look beautiful. And when you stand that card and I bring it forward, let me just turn that around so you can see where I'm going with this. Can you see? That is my stopper. But look at the balance and look at the movement through the card. So it comes all the way around. So it's almost creating an S. Okay. So that's one of the things when I start looking at something like this, and this is a stunning collection. Actually, I was super excited when Stephanie says, oh, would you like to record the education for that? It's like, oh, yes, please. Pop that on here. And now we're extending it off the edge again. So we've got those little pieces. Try not to disturb what I've already put in place down here. Again, remember, forwards and backwards with the foliage to build it in. And let's bring some more in because I know I want some more of these twigs, this greenery, and that one is stunning. I haven't got a piece of that at the bottom. So let's pull that in there. I love this one because it shapes so beautifully. So let's do that. Again, when you're doing this, audition your pieces, have a look, do a trial mock of what you're wanting it to look like. But there are no rhyme or reason. There is no, you're doing that wrong when you're doing something like this. I want all of these little twiggy pieces. Okay. So build it up a little bit at a time. I want to lift this and tuck that right inside, like so. So that's two. I need another one. I love to work in threes. It's one of the things that we get taught if you watch the gardening programs, that gardens like threes, and the eye likes threes when you're working with something like this. And I don't really do odds. I like evens. Anything else I've got to have, if I haven't got evens, I've got to have symmetry. Okay, like so. Do you see what I was saying earlier about the actual foliage? So we've put that foliage and we've tucked it in and out, lots of layers, added it in, to then show off the actual florals. So I'm thinking about what I've got down here going on. I'm going to shorten that because it won't tuck in enough. Oops. I'm going to rotate that round, tuck it right under like that. And then we have all these little bits and pieces. Now these are the unsung heroes of a collection, because they really do. So we're going to hide that round there. Then get this one, like so. Bring it off into the card, but not too much because we don't want to upset the balance that we're creating. And then these fabulous little twigs. And I'm not sticking everything down. Can you see? I'm leaving some of it without glue. So that means it creates movement. I can lift that forward. So now these little heroes that we've got going on. Pop these in. And again, I'm not sticking the whole thing down. But it just breaks the whole thing up and it gives the eye something to look for. You see how that really does make a difference. And I love the colourways that we've got. Again, just extend that out a little tiny bit. Like so. That, I think, is where... nope. Step away. So then I would go on, put a little bit of a sentiment on here, or you could run a piece of ribbon across here and here as well. But this is then making an easel card out of that beautiful doily, creating our stopper, but also creating that balance. So it really does flow all the way around, like so. And then, really super simple, couldn't be any easier. I'm using 2 of my doily dies to create a base and then adding in some of that foliage. So they are really different cards, but very similar techniques. But finally, let me just quickly show you the snippability. Now, when you're looking at this, there are so many different things we can see on here. So first of all, obviously you can just cut it straight in half, but I'm going to take out, I'm just going to do a little bit of snipping and then I'll tidy them up. I'm going to take this middle piece out. So I'm doing the same cut on all of them. Like so. If I, oops, one more. So that is creating then another extra piece. So that looks like a little wheel, doesn't it? Absolutely love that. So you could then tidy all these pieces up, snip them off a little bit more. So we can go a little bit further. Take all these pieces off. Like so, neaten it all up. So then we've got this lovely wheel that we can use. But we've also got a fabulous frame, and that is stunning. So then that would be your wreath. So if you were to cut that out in different colourways, in a different cardstock, so maybe 2 or 3 different greens, and rotate it and offset it, that would make a fabulous wreath to then build all of these on. So let me just grab some of these. That is so easy. So let's tuck in. Look how easy. Isn't that just gorgeous? Super wreath, super quick, fabulous. That's one. And then we've got these other elements. So once you've snipped that out, layer it up differently, okay? Maybe pop it back in, but do it inked. So we've gone from there, And let's take off these pieces. Those are now little flower heads. We're going to ink those and keep that. But where you've got that little bit of an edge, I always go back in and just tidy these little pieces up. And that way I've got all these little pieces to use. So I'm being tidy, snipping it off where I want to use it. And I'm giving myself all of these little elements to create another flower. Oops. So then we've got this lovely, almost the middle of a wheel or spokes, but that is a snowflake, isn't it? So we've got a snowflake and a wreath. We've got all these little pieces that we're going to tidy up and use as tuck-ins. So if we glitter these up, they're just a smaller element, glue them back on and lift them up and add a decoupage to your actual piece. So let's see where else we can cut out from this. So I am going to snip like so, and I'm taking the middle off of all of these. So I'm snipping in again and making a smaller frame. Okay, so I've snipped that side. If I do a couple of these, you can absolutely then see where I'm going with this. Snip away these little dots. These are all tuck-ins, but look at all these elements that we're now using that we can change. But look at the frame. So we've then snipped away and we've created this lovely wreath. They've got this beautiful pearl drop in the middle. And as always with tattered lace, there's always got to be 3 reasons why. But I think with the boards that I've shown you at the beginning that you will have already have seen, we've got like 23 reasons at the minute, haven't we, going on? And how easy is this to be able to do this? And that is because of how incredible the design element has been. Cut that. Snip these. So we've got all of those extra pieces. So out of that one doily that was a whole, that was a half to start off with, if you remember, look at the flower that we've got in the middle. So if you glue that down and build a flower in the centre, we've then got all of these pieces. So we've got the doily. Let's lay all of this out. So this is all the snippability of this one. So we've got those 6 pieces we can then use. We've got the 6 small pieces that we snipped out originally from the middle, and we've got that flower or snowflake from the centre. So you could snip all of that out and then sit that back in the middle. There is so much here to actually be able to use and work with. And that came from that. So from that, the original, we've ended up with all of these pieces. How fabulous is that? So that is our fabulous Chantilly Twine collection. Isn't it adorable? So again, right back at the beginning where we started, that lovely folding it over, finding the centre, using 2 of those dies, and then just using frames. But if you did get this collection, you can absolutely do this with that, adding a little bit of decoupage, but also remember about creating that the flow of the card, so how it looks. Then the other one where we did, so we've gone from something quite simple, which is this, to something really quite ornate, which is what tattered lace is absolutely all about. All of that lace, all of those florals. So I hope you've got lots of inspiration there to work with. Think about all those other card shapes that you can actually make, because with the permutations of the dies that we've given you, there are so many different ways of using all of this, as you've seen from all of those boards, which are just fabulous. Have a lot of fun creating. Remember about shaping them, tucking in that foliage. Remember about that layering that I've just shown you, and you can turn out lovely projects just like this. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
If you want to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button, subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notifications of all of our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.